So, hey, Maxis, when you come rolling, you better come rolling deep. And guys, I bought this jacket specifically to be a meme to the Maxis. So that's literally why I bought it. And if you think that that's sick, you should see the shoes.
Wait, hold on.
Look at the golden shoes. No, go back to the other one. Look at the golden shoes. That's right. It's not a black swan. It's not a white swan. That's the golden goose. Do you believe? And I want to get TJ's input on this as well. That this is playing out literally just like the bear market, that's where we're heading to, and that we are literally going to hover in this area for a good long while.
Yeah, so we were talking about this yesterday, after we got this big move up, I was talking, I think it was to TJ, I was like, I feel like we never got that boring part of the bear market, right? We had a little bit of sideways action after we hit the bottom, but it wasn't that long, and I kind of feel like that is half of the pain, right? Half of the pain is the way down, and then the rest of the pain is that boring sideways action, which for me, kills me even more than the movements to the downside. And I feel like we haven't had that yet. I was actually is that what you feel? You think we're entering that kind of sideways ranging phase?
Yeah, I had a lot of hope that we weren't going to, just because the interest is still there. But what we're seeing is the interest still being there in crypto. Now, of course, it wasn't what it was in the bull market, right? Mm-hmm. But our numbers are not down massively significant over what they were towards, the very end phases of what we thought was the bull run, right? It was already bear market, but we thought it was still maybe bull market for a while, and numbers started dropping, and that's okay. But the attention is still there. There's more people than ever looking at crypto. We got the macroeconomic stuff, but it just doesn't translate to volume.
Yeah, well, one of the things I was thinking about that may make this cycle a little bit different is obviously we're in a different situation, right? Like you have the banks going down, and that's kind of, for me, I do tend to lean just a little bit bearish, almost just naturally. I feel like this bear market turned me into a perma bear, and I kind of had to fight that a little bit because with the banks going down and stuff like that, this is just some kind of black swan. This opens up a whole new area of black swan events that can happen, or I guess would you call it a white swan or a black swan if it's a pot?
White swans are common. You see them everywhere.
Right? Yeah, that's how I would.
You know what we call those? Swans.
But yeah, it opens up the door for these positive black swan events, and I think if we are going to see this bear market play out completely differently, that's got something like that has got to happen, where we get a complete collapse of the banking system, and that's where Bitcoin comes in to shine. But I do think I go with the cycle until it's broken, right? Yeah. I mean, it would be horrible to look back and see it play out exactly. You think it was going to play out differently, and you look back and you're like, it just played out like the last time. Why didn't I just stick to the plan?
It's really interesting, speaking to someone that doesn't know anything about crypto now. She said she would get my book. Nice lady. Her name was Ann. It's very interesting listening to these perspectives when people just don't really grasp the crypto markets unless you're in it. And when you look at stuff like this, the price of the world's largest cryptocurrency soared about 22,000% in the past decade. Currently trading at around 26,750, 60% below its peak. Those are the things that people pick up when they watch news shows or finance shows when they're not in crypto. They just hear either it's up 22,000% or they hear it's down 60% from the peak. And they don't take the time to really understand these 4-year cycles and the way they work. People will say isn't Bitcoin down a lot right now? I'm like, yes, it's supposed to be. It was always supposed to be down this year. Okay, so here's this post I did last week. It's so funny because everybody's saying I don't know how to use MetaMask, which is hilarious. I've used MetaMask probably more than anybody you know. I've been around since the very beginning of MetaMask. They sent me a hat for being their #1 user. Thanks, MetaMask. That's my new Gucci jacket. I like that one. Guys, that was obviously a joke. And then this guy.
No, he didn't.
Spence Coin, you're not cool, man. Like, I'm sorry, bro. You're not cool. You're marketing consensus in MetaMask. I don't get it. You love cooking and eating food. Who doesn't like eating food? You would die if you didn't. Like, obviously everybody's got to eat. But you know what? You're just cooking up FUD here. He says, no, he didn't. This guy is the, what is he? Marketing at consensus in MetaMask. And he literally says, no, he didn't. And I said, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Did he respond? No, he did not respond. Guys, the fact that people cannot figure out what's a joke and what's not based on the culture of Twitter is hilarious to me. Now, Tesla updates AI-trained robot army, takes new bots for a walk. So there we go. Tesla has released new footage showing its Tesla bots, which now appear capable of walking steadily, picking up items, and recognizing objects. Tesla CEO Elon Musk presented the video at the company's shareholder meeting event. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Dodge Demon is going to be faster than the Tesla. I want everybody to know that. 1.6 seconds for 0 to 60. Tesla, 1.9. So it's going to be 1 point bye-bye when I go past you. You know how long I've been waiting to stick it to those Tesla drivers?
Yeah.
Long time. Now, none of them have ever challenged me directly. They've never came up next to me and just, tried to punch it off the red light. I don't think people that drive Tesla are generally the people.
I was just about to say that same thing. I've seen a lot of people that own Teslas, and none of them look like the kind of people that pull up next to somebody and start revving the engine and say, hey, let's go.
Newer people to this market, which is the vast majority of y'all, if we're honest, okay? You weren't around when Litecoin was launched. You weren't around. The comment was made to me, there are no Litecoin maximalists. There were Litecoin maximalists. Back in 2017, it was a faster version of Bitcoin. Like, that was the message they were pushing. Satoshi Light, that he even went by Satoshi Light, obviously. What's his name? Lee?
Charlie
Lee, right. We all know him as I sold the top, right?
Nailed it.
And that was kind of the beginning of the death of Litecoin, in my opinion. This is slow death. It still is around. But what I want to show you guys is you have to understand when Litecoin came in on the scene, people thought that this had a chance, very small community at first, thought this had a chance to really compete with Bitcoin because Bitcoin was slow. And so Litecoin offered something faster and a little more freedom to do upgrades and things like that. So, of course, now we know it kind of the silver to Bitcoin's digital gold, I guess you will, but we don't need a silver. But, if you just are coming to the market now, or the last 2 years, and you see PayPal listing Litecoin, and you see Litecoin on Coinbase, one of the first coins, you see Litecoin in a lot of different places with Ethereum and Bitcoin, and you're like, what is the deal? Why is it there with them? Well, it's there with them because it was one of the first established, it was the best performing altcoin consistently in the top 10, ever since it was launched. It's only recently fell a little bit out of the limelight over the last couple of years. And so there's something really interesting, though. If you're just coming into this market and you're looking at Litecoin as a possible investment. All right, so you look at the price. The price here was around 375. Look at this double top. I mean, if you were to look at this is like so textbook. Let's see here, lines. Where can I get my lines? I can't remember anymore. I cannot remember how to draw lines on here, guys. It's been this long since I've done it. Where's the line tool? Where's Frank when you need him? Are these lines? There we go. Okay, found it, guys. Okay, look at this double top. It's not exact. It basically had a wick over here that went slightly above, but I don't even know if it closed there. Guys, we have this double top for Litecoin. I don't think we're going to see a new all-time high for Litecoin. This narrative that it's going to be a relevant coin in the bull run because it's not going to be considered a security, guess what? That only works while the XRP case is ongoing. Because after the XRP case, if it's not considered a security, like, could you imagine having a legitimate project out there and XRP gets a pass and you're worried about your coin now? might be worried about your sale, but what coin out there was thought more to be a security than XRP?
Not many.
Like, that's the only one generally people would talk about, right? Back in 2017, 2018 being a
Yeah,
security.
I mean, EOS used to get a little bit of chatter, you know, because they made
sale.
they had such a huge sale. But yeah, I mean, but then they I think ended up settling and paying as well. So
$98 million, I believe,
yeah,
for a $4 billion token sale. So the point is, Litecoin can just as easily lose that narrative. If XRP starts getting relisted and the SEC start losing a couple of these cases, Litecoin's not going to really have that advantage because, yes, it's older and it was a more fair launch than a lot of other stuff, but that's not going to be enough to get people excited about it. So anyways, we'll see what happens. I think that Litecoin has probably seen its best days. I've been back and forth on this, and the reason is because of the fact that it is not going to be considered a security. But you can also look at the library case and say, that's precedent that almost nothing in crypto will be considered that outside the sales. So overall, with Litecoin, what are they like? What is the community doing? Like Tom Crown, what is the community doing with Litecoin? It's you and like 7 guys at this point.
But we were talking about VR headsets with Apple. Supposedly is rumored to be dropping an extremely high-end VR headset, like a $3,000 headset, hardware device.
I bought it. I got it already. I bought it this weekend. Or this week as I'm going to the conference.
That's pretty good, yeah. Exactly. Very comfortable,
It's
and
almost like real life.
You actually look like
Didn't see the microphone.
what's the X-Men guy?
Was that the microphone? I don't even know. Cyclops?
Yeah, Cyclops. Yeah, hit us with a. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, it's interesting if they start getting into VR in a big way, and now we're seeing them go more into the mobile gaming and all that sort of stuff. It'll be very fascinating to see how this continues with Apple.
So glad to have this VR headset from Apple. Definitely appreciate it from them. I did pay for it like a normal human does. But I had to get it to cover up my Bitcoin Maxi laser eyes. You don't want me to...
You can't take it off till 100K.
Can't take it off till 100K. That's right, guys.